everybody, welcome to the Elseworlds Exchange. I am Sal.
And I'm Joel.
Today we're going to talk about the most toxic comic book couples in history, more or less. This is a Joel idea. This is the day after Valentine's Day. We got all that mushy bullshit out of the way. Now let's talk about romances that just plain fail.
This is kind of a sequel episode because last year we actually had a show on Valentine's Day and we talked about all our favorite, lovey-dovey comic book couples. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do the inverse this time.
Yes, I think your unofficial title for this episode is Tainted Lovers.
Yeah, I was really proud of that. I'm like, ooh, yeah. Get a nice little song reference in there.
Yeah, I like the title. It doesn't help with our search algorithm, so I'm just going to call it The Most Toxic Comic Book Relationships.
Of which there are plenty.
I mean, like, they all... It's like that old Harvey Dent quote, you either die in your relationship or you live long enough to see it go down the tubes, at least in the comic book world.
Yep.
So, Joel, what was the impetus behind this concept, and what was the one that stood out to you? What was the one that made you go, oh, well, this is obviously going to be a list, no problem?
Well, I mean, I'm always a fan of villains. I always say one of my big things in comics is I think I've stayed a fan for as long as I have because I've always gravitated towards a good villain. And there is a special class of villain out there who is not a villain on their own. They're a villain with their significant other by their side. Of course, growing up, I was a big Power Rangers fan. You had Rita and Zed, who were a married couple and also evil. But it's funny, the marriage actually came apart as a way to soften Lord Zed. The TV censors thought he was a little too terrifying, and they're like, well, how do you make him less scary? You get him hitched, of course.
Yes, you take a little bit of the pepper out of him. Get him I guess.
It's funny too because it's like in the lore of the show, Rita was his employee. Like she worked for him. So like where does that stand? Marrying one of your employees?
Yeah.
I guess they're bad guys, so they don't have like an HR department that they can go to.
I think Goldar was in charge of their HR department.
File your forms.
Yeah, it's kind of inappropriate. I gotta say, I hate to say it.
I freaking love Goldar's voice so much.
So stupid.
Sometimes I have wigs and sometimes I don't have wigs, depending on what footage we're using.
Yeah, what the hell? Now, that said,
they had a Jewish wedding too. You can actually find their wedding online in YouTube clips. They did the thing where Zed, he wears a little yarmulke and he crushes the glass. So I guess Zed is short for Zedman.
What the fuck is that? I mean, not to disparage it in any way. I mean, it's a perfectly legitimate ceremony with a very, very storied, religion, and yet odd choice.
I think the writers were Jewish, like Chaim Saban and everyone. They're like, oh, well, if he has a wedding, that's what they're going to have, of course.
It'll blow their minds.
Then later they'll do the chair dance, of course.
Yeah.
Bizarre. I love that so much, looking back on that. And then, you get into some real sitcom-y shit, because, later on you met Rita's dad, who's like, I run my own galaxy over there. Lord Vile, that was his name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, I run my own universe, and I'm coming to stay with you guys now. And Zed's like, oh no, my father-in-law.
Oh my god. Yeah, so the show was basically over, is what you're saying.
This was season 3. This was the fucking when they turned the Rangers into little kids and they had the alien Rangers coming. Yeah, season 3 was a bad season.
That sounds like a bad scene, just in general.
It really was. I forgot how fucked up that was now that I sit and think about, oh yeah, then they were aliens and stuff.
But that gave you the idea to do this episode.
It sure did.
Bizarre.
Which actually, Power Rangers is filled with a lot of really interesting, villainous couples. There was Prince Gasket and his lover. They had a Romeo and Juliet thing where it's you're part of the machine empire. You can't be with a commoner, which was something that sympathized him. And then even later on in Wild Force, you had Toxica and Jindrax, who were basically, they did the Goldar job. They were the generals who would go down and dust it up with the Rangers. But they had this kind of will they, won't they romance thing going on. And Toxica gets killed and Jindrax goes nuts and tries to do a bunch of stuff to resurrect her.
Okay.
And he does. And by the end up, they end up becoming good guys at the end and walk off into the sunset in love. And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting arc for Power Rangers. The villains got to live happily ever after.
Honestly, I don't remember any of this crap from my days in Power Rangers.
This was long after the fact. This was after everyone else stopped watching, but I kept watching because I'm hardcore like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I ride or die for this shit.
Right on.
Well, now you say one.
Well, okay. From the comic book world, the one that always comes to mind for me is Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne.
Oh god, the definition of toxic, like someone actually got hit on panel.
Yeah, legitimately. I mean, like, what's funny to me for their relationship, right? Like, okay, it's a toxic relationship. What makes it a toxic relationship? Because that's the thing. I've seen and done many things in my life. I've seen and been in many a toxic relationship. And what are some red flags for a toxic relationship? And do some of these characters either exemplify those red flags? Do they harbor those red flags? Or is it just kind of like convenient storytelling to make them have romantic difficulties? With Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, I say the red flag is that they're both workaholic superheroes who are kind of narcissists.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of that going on. And plus, I mean, I mean, that's true of any relationship. You bring your own baggage into it, and when another person brings their baggage in, you start clashing baggage.
Yes. I mean, even in the Ultimate Universe, when you saw Van Dyne and Pym together, and that was a lot more extreme of their domestic disputes and abuse.
They took it to the next level. They cranked it up a notch.
They did, but they also really kind of highlighted the issues that they didn't really get a chance to really explore in the 616 or Marvel Universe proper, which is that they're both career-oriented people who are really about getting the credit for what they do.
And Hank can't take any criticism. That's another big thing.
Yes, yeah, big thing. For me, it was funny, the big red flag, or the moment that made me go like, whoa, this is a bad idea, was after Avengers Disassembled, when Wasp gets hurt and Hank freaks out and basically just taps out of the fight to go be with her at the hospital. And Bendis wrote the issue where they all kind of convene back at the destroyed Avengers Mansion, and Hank and Janet are standing outside the mansion, kind of just looking at it for a little while, and they're just like, wow, what a, this is a good time for us to finally try to rekindle our relationship. And that for me was the harbinger for their doom, and exemplify the relationship, because it's two people who found each other through this really terrible tragedy that only happened maybe 12 hours prior. And they're looking at it like it's ancient history. Just these two people who have really, really torrential history together, and pretend this terrible tragedy that took place in their lives and the lives of their friends happened so long ago, even though it was there's still smoke from the fires that they just put out. And someone says someone asks them are you back together? We're going to give it a try. We're going to try something new. And I was like, I've seen so many people do that, where they're
it's true.
Where they're oh, no. We had this horrible relationship that everyone agreed was a disaster. We don't mix. We don't support each other. We're not in love with each other, really. We're passionate. And that's the thing. Two passionate people.
It's the definition of, oh no, they can change, it'll be different this time.
Yeah, and it ain't. And I think it's in a Secret Invasion issue that, because I remember being just make Hank a Skrull. He hasn't done anything interesting
years
since between when he hits her as a Yellow Jacket to now. Just say that the Skrull was the one who hit Wasp, and that Hank is a totally different person.
Clean slate for everybody.
But instead, they do this whole solo issue where Hank and Janet are in another country, and Janet has a fucking modeling contract, like a costuming contract she's got to fulfill. Or something. I think they're going to go out to dinner, and Hank doesn't really want to go out, but she knows that the paparazzi's going to be there, and she wants to get photographed. And it's just this really disgustingly toxic relationship. Everything's back to where it was. And then halfway through their argument, a Skrull shows up and kicks his ass and then replaces him.
Yep.
And he is more supportive and nurturing than the actual Hank Pym. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's sick to my stomach when I think of these two together.
It's pretty maddening. It's funny, while we're on the Marvel bent here, I don't think you can talk about Hank and Janet without also talking about Reed and Sue.
Oh,
because their relationship has evolved. But man, when you look at that historically, and you don't even have to go back too far, wow, is Reed horrible to Sue a lot of the time.
Yes. Or at least, even if he's not like outright abusive or a monster, he is dismissive.
And controlling as well. Well, I mean, that's the whole joke from Venture Brothers,
yes.
The impossible Stephen Colbert. That's what they're riffing on.
Yes, the idea that like he keeps her locked in this tower. I know that that was explored a little bit by Namor. Namor being this other man who comes from a tropical place that has like rippling biceps and has the designs on Sue. And he's like, I think it's in Illuminati where he says, it's not the miniseries, but like the one shot where he says something like, your wife will leave you one day because you keep her locked in a tower.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, like,
that's
way to cut to the core of his insecurities and to the actual like, problem.
And even Sue, it's like, does she have any friends? It's like, you don't need any friends. You have your brother and Ben, who is a rock monster. It's fine.
And he's in love with you too, by the way.
And there's that.
Yeah.
And Doom's in love with you. Like, freaking everyone's in love with her.
Really, really weird. It's a very weird... But for me, I don't know if there's like... The red flag is just like in a 1960s, 50s nuclear family, like, yes, I will do the work and you will wear the heels in the kitchen and make the babies.
Pretty much. And they'll be god babies.
Yes. Now, different writers have gone out of their way to fix this problem. And I think they've done a pretty decent job. I've seen... But at the end of the day, they're inescapably tied to their origins and to their kind of like very 50s mindset about a nuclear family.
I think I might have mentioned this back in the original Valentine's Day episode, but it bears repeating. There was I think it was a Mark Waid story of S.H.I.E.L.D. where he reveals that Sue Storm has actually been a secret, like, double-decker undercover Black Ops agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. this whole time. She's running jobs for Coulson on the sly because she's perfect for it. She's the invisible woman. Yeah. She can get it done and no one even knows it's her. Reed doesn't have to know. Only her and Coulson know.
That's a good point. I like that idea.
Where she's like, I have a life outside this house, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was basically the takeaway from it.
Yeah. Was she in the book Marvel Divas? Because that was a painfully terrible series where it's like, no, but like some of these female Marvel characters get together and drink Cosmos and gossip about boys. And I'm like,
I didn't read that one.
I read the first issue and was like, nope, not gonna do that. What's another one you got?
Oh, geez, there's so many I can think about.
There's so many. I mean, like, every Marvel relationship, every comic book relationship just falls apart or becomes toxic. I mean, like, even poor Adam and Jean.
Yeah, there's one, definitely. I was going to say, we could basically just do this whole episode on the X-Men if we really wanted to. I mean, come on, Cyclops and cheats Jean. On Jean with Emma. That's some shit. That's
pretty much... I know, what's weird is their whole relationship is defined by their connection, you know? Like, it's great to see these toxic relationships from the perspective of, like, what was the warning signs? And, like, with Jean and Scott, there really is no warning sign. It's just that it was too good. It was too perfect. They were always meant to be together. They always were together. They had a psychic link, so they didn't have any secrets from each other. And then ultimately it's just, no. Like, no, Scott wants something else.
And even his relationship with Emma has turned horribly toxic to where right now he's dead and Emma Frost is fanning the flames of racial hatred to get a war started between the mutants and the Inhumans just because she has a lot of unresolved issues with him.
Yeah. I mean, you might even say that Cyclops has a toxic relationship with everyone he's with that he knows.
Everyone he's met. He has a toxic relationship with his brother. He has a toxic relationship with his space pirate father.
His father figure, Professor X. Everybody.
He has a toxic relationship with his son from the future.
Yep.
No one likes Cyclops.
Nobody likes Cyclops. Or Cyclops just a very difficult guy to get along with.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. No, everyone has issues with Cyclops.
Yeah. Hey, specifically toxic, what about Thor and Jane?
Yeah, wow.
Or Odinson and Jane?
Whatever you want to call it. I like in the newest issue of Unworthy Thor, she makes fun of the Odinson name. She's like, you can keep the name, right?
He's like, no, you're Thor. If you pick up the hammer and you have all my memories and experiences and you have powers, you're Thor. It's confusing and weird.
Well, he doesn't know that yet. She was going to tell him, but then he just got all pissed off and left the room.
Right.
He was so close to figuring out. But yeah, their relationship is interesting, so much to the point they're not together anymore. They made a very conceited effort. Jane's like, nah, I moved on. I met a guy. I got cancer. We're just not together anymore.
Is there any connection with like her getting cancer and Thor like having been exposed to some shit, or is it just like she got cancer and it just sucks?
No, she just like in the beginning of the Jason Aaron thing, he basically has his, all-star Superman moment, but for Thor, where he goes around and does the good of the world. Then he visits Jane, and this is the first time we had seen Jane in like forever.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, I got cancer. And in fact, in the newest Jason Aaron story, she said her mom actually died of cancer before her, so it's a hereditary thing.
Oh, great. Well, that's depressing. But yeah.
I mean, she gets to be Thor, though.
But hey, and every time she uses it, it purges her system.
So she'll just have to stay as Thor then.
Yeah. What else have you got?
Oh, I mean, just so many freaking great ones. Hey, here's one I'm sure you will love. Al Simmons and Wanda Fitzgerald.
Oh my god. Like, went from being one of the most romantic things I'd ever imagined as a kid. Like, as a kid, being like, he sold his soul for her.
Or as Keith David so wonderfully yells, I came back for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they retcon it so that he still loved her, but then he like punches their unborn baby.
Yeah, that's pretty toxic.
The crap. Very toxic. Also, just in a stalkerish kind of way, where he's like, "No, I came back from the dead for you, and you've moved on and have children." And every time he has the opportunity to learn or get better, he rejects it out of hand. I remember there was a moment in Spawn where Al gets his face back, so he immediately thinks it's forever. And he's been working with Terry, his best friend, who married Wanda and has a child with her, to take down their mutual boss, Jason Wynn. And at one point, he just goes to Terry's house as Al, and he's like, "Hey, listen, I just wanted to let you know, like, I'm back now. I'm going to take my wife. I'm going to take our kid, and like, and if you get in the way, I'm just going to have to kill you." And Terry's like, "You are such an asshole, Al. You are such an asshole. Like, no, like, this life does not want you anymore, man."
I know what happened in the cartoon. I don't know if it happened in the comic, where Spawn does like his shape-changing thing, so he actually becomes Terry.
Yes.
And sleeps with his wife.
That's in the cartoon. No, it doesn't happen. Does it happen in the comics? I don't think it happens in the comics.
Right, I know it happened in the cartoon, and I'm like, that's rape by lying.
Yeah, that's an Excalibur level of rape.
That's a crime, Spawn. That's not cool.
But don't worry, that's happened a lot of times. Remember when the Chameleon did it?
Yeah.
Like, come on. But yeah,
that.
Spawn, that's a big one.
Spawn, that one's pretty huge. That's just a ugly, ugly relationship. Now, here's another one. Everyone talks about Batman Catwoman or Batman Talia.
Yeah.
Here's one for you. Daredevil and Typhoid Mary, where the extra caveat is she's also crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, like, what about Daredevil and everybody? Like, Daredevil and Elektra, Daredevil and Karen, Daredevil and Echo. Like, there's no end.
Work out. He is forever alone.
And, by the way, like, there's never a relationship that he's in where it's like, oh, this is actually okay. Like, oh, this is actually calm and cool. Black Widow! Like, Daredevil, everyone he sleeps with is, like, either crazy, a spy, or just totally wrong for him.
And I mean, let's remember, too, Daredevil, I mean, I'm surprised they've never told this story. They've never tried to go all shame or Don Juan with him. I think Matt Murdock might be a sexaholic. I think he might have a thing.
I would not be surprised. Yeah, no, the dude has a compulsion to sleep with every female he meets.
Which might be tied to the fact that he has some very deep-seated mother issues as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like his dad he's pretty cool with, but his mother issue, yeah.
Weird. Also refuses to call his mother.
Yeah, that's a little fucked up. That's a little like a psychiatry chair. Please tell me about your childhood.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Yeah, really. There's a lot of stuff.
It might stop me from getting such sweet action.
You remember the last time we saw his mom, too? She was in jail. They kind of did like the whole Sister Peg, Orange is the New Black thing, where she was a nun who was arrested for protesting like a weapons plant in Wakanda, and so she got thrown in jail for it, and he had to help her out. That was the last time we saw her, and we find out that the reason his mom left was because she was suffering from postpartum depression, and, that wasn't talked about in those days. That was a Mark Waid story, too, and he told a really good story about postpartum depression, and at the end, it kind of had a feel-good ending because they hugged, and it's like, oh, I love you, Mom, I love you too, son, and I'm like, oh, you guys still have a lot of stuff you need to work
Yeah, this ain't over.
No, this ain't over by sight. But Daredevil's like, okay, call you next time the story needs me to call you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Hey, what's really creepy is the Kitty Pryde and Peter Rasputin relationship, particularly in the beginning when she was like 14.
In Russia, that is fine. Apparently.
It's okay, and then I cheat on you with Alien Broad.
Oh, yeah, and the original Secret Wars.
Yeah, the true secret of the Secret Wars.
that Kitty can never know.
Yeah, that's the secret. She does find out, but, yeah. Yeesh.
Shit, arguably her relationship with Peter Quill from the Guardians of the Galaxy was healthier because that was like a long-distance relationship for a while.
Every Peter she's been with has been a problem. I mean, even Ultimate Kitty, who was like unhealthily obsessed with Peter, it was the problem. That's right. The problem with that relationship, because it seemed like fun, but the issue was Kitty kind of like okay. In the Ultimate Universe, Mary Jane and Peter's relationship was a little toxic.
Yeah.
Because she worships him. Like, she respects him and worships him in a way that, like, you really shouldn't. In fact, I bring this up every once in a while, but, like, in the Ultimate Universe, Pete and Mary Jane get together for the first time. They're the relationship. Then they break up. And Mary Jane goes on one date with another guy. He kisses her, and she realizes she can't be with anyone but Peter. And Peter gets in several relationships with other people, including Gwen clone, and yet Mary Jane never moves on. Like, he moves on and realizes he wants to be with her, but she never has that palate cleansing period where she realizes she wants to be with Peter. Like, she goes out with one guy one time in high school and then decides she's going to be with him forever. That's fucking weird.
True. Keeping it with Spider-Man there. Eddie Brock and the symbiote, there's a pretty toxic relationship.
Literally toxic to the point where it, like, drains him of his life essence. I mean, I'm excited to see how they explore that relationship, where it's like, the symbiote's like, Eddie, you are a really bad person.
Also, because the symbiote's good now, it's like, I did more heroic stuff without you than I ever did with you, and I can actually be a little hoity-toity and lord that over you now.
Yeah, like, no, it's like... It's like in Starship Troopers when Carmen and Rico get back together at the end only because the people they should be with are dead. Like, the symbiote and Eddie are going to get back together because, like, mostly because editorial says Flash can't be with the symbiote anymore. But, like, I'm excited to see that relationship explored now, where, number one, we get to see the symbiote actually talking and, like, interacting, but we also get to see the symbiote being like, I was better without you.
Yeah, that would be funny. I'm a strong, independent alien costume, and I don't need no Eddies, but I guess I don't want to die alone. So.
Yeah, I don't want to die alone. That's fucking sad.
You are my favorite silver medal there, Eddie.
Born to runner-up. What's another toxic anti-Valentine's Day relationship?
I got a whole bunch of them here in front of me. I mean, Vision and Scarlet Witch, man, they've had some ups and downs, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. To the point where, like, seeing them interact today, especially in, like, the Vision series, where she's like, they do not interact like old lovers. They interact like you're over there, and I don't want to talk to you. Like, you only represent pain for me.
It's the ultimate, they used to date, right.
Right, that makes sense.
Here's some fun ones from television, actually. Cersei Lannister and Jaime Lannister from the Game of Thrones.
Oh, I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I'm not familiar with the relationship. Are you talking about the ones that were related?
Yes.
That's toxic, all right.
That's pretty fucking... It is, and yet the show has such this weird way of showing that everyone is a piece of shit in the world. Theirs is the healthiest relationship on the show.
Ew.
Yeah, theirs is the healthiest one, because, they support each other and help each other, and they both mourn over the death of their respective kids, but then he also kind of tries to rape her, but she also really wasn't fighting it. And wow, Game of Thrones is fucked up when you talk about it like that.
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of it.
And yet, in the end, they have this thing where it's like, we were born together. We'll only ever have each other together forever. And I'm like, that'd be sweet if it wasn't so wrong. And on the same note, because you were talking about the Ultimate Universe, Ultimate Quicksilver and Ultimate Scarlet Witch.
Oh, no! That is legitimately... I think that might be the worst.
It's pretty terrible.
You know what? There's no abuse in that relationship, so I will say, well, it is not the worst. It is gross, but it is not the worst.
It's like, well, you're both adults.
And what's funny is, for me, like, growing up with the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, I always thought their relationship was creepy and weird.
They were a little too close.
A little too close. He was a little too protective of her.
A little too touchy-feely.
Yeah, and then in the Ultimate Universe, they're like, no, and then they also bang. And you're like, no!
You pulled the trigger on it.
No, don't do it.
Over in Mutant, Alabama.
Yeah, gross.
Which, hey, we might as well complete the trifecta now of, geek, nerd, incest relationships. Top Dollar and Misa from The Crow. The villains in that.
Good deep dive there. Right on.
I fucking love The Crow. I watch that every Devil's Night, or Halloween to the rest of you.
No, Devil's Night is the night before Halloween.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Shit, I haven't seen it in a bit. You got me.
My friend...
You out-nerded me on The Crow.
I only know that because my college roommate does the exact same thing.
Does he? Nice.
He's been doing it for 20 years.
I hope they never remake The Crow.
They always keep trying, but thankfully, because The Crow is so irrelevant, it keeps failing.
That's true. But yeah, again, Top Dollar, which, man, you look at that dude and you look at his sister, which I think his sister, that's Bai Ling, isn't it? Like her first big movie role?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
She kind of had her shit together in that one. She went kind of nuts as time went on. Unfortunate.
Yeah. In the realm of, like, weird relationships that wound up being kind of toxic, I guess, but because, like, why did you do it in the first place, is the Black Panther and Storm.
Yeah.
Where it's like, why did they get together? Oh, because they wanted them to be together. Like, there's no organic building of their relationship, and then, like, and then bam, it's just together. And then it ends in a 2-panel, like, Avengers vs. X-Men book, where he's like, the King of Wakanda has annulled our marriage, and she's like, but that's you, and he's like, yeah, get out.
Get out of my country.
And then the last thing you see, the last time that they're like, that it's for me that it's addressed, is where he's like, listen, we had some history, but like, don't bang Logan, please. He's so gross.
And then in a later issue of Deadpool, she totally did.
Oh yeah. Oh no, she's like, you can't tell me what to do. In fact, I'm gonna do the opposite of what you do. That's the definition of toxic in relationships.
It kind of is, man. I remember that. That was actually a really great Deadpool story. That was the good, the bad, and the ugly. He comes to recruit Wolverine at the X-Mansion, and Wolverine's in bed, and he's like, "Oh wait, it's too early for your bullshit." And then he's like, "Oh hey, hi Storm," and Storm's like, "Hey Deadpool." She doesn't even care. She's not even trying to hide. She's like, "Hey Deadpool."
Yeah.
No one's gonna believe you if you tell anyone.
That's fair.
That is pretty. Oh, as the chat is so quick to bring up Iron Man and his suit from.
God damn it! From our yes, if you're not familiar with our episode of Iron Man by Joe Quesada, the suit loves Iron Man, and they just want to be. Yeah, come inside of me, Tony. It's the quote from our episode.
That's the one. That's the winner. That's right up there with the Jizzler.
Yeah. God damn it.
If I'm ever on your show
again,
I'm like, okay, we can go filthy, we can work blue right on.
Yes, that is the definition of our show, apparently.
I was holding back at New York Comic-Con, now I can just say horrible shit.
Yeah, there wasn't much to say in that episode. That was, we did Terminator, RoboCop. There wasn't much gross in that episode, or much opportunity to make those references.
Much fodder. Ooh, here's a good one the chat reminded me of. Kingpin and Vanessa.
Yeah, totally toxic. Why is she dying? Like, what is her... I mean, I know she's dead now, but, like, what was she always dying from?
She had disease. She had plot disease.
She had plot disease, right? Like, she was dying from a broken heart.
Or something like that. Oh, their relationship always reminded me of, like, a Macbeth, Lady Macbeth type thing, where it's like, you make each other worse. You bring out the worst in each other.
That's right. Very, very, very true. Yeah. They always liked beating that dead horse of, like... The Kingpin this is his humanity. It's over there, dying in a bed in his penthouse apartment.
Yeah. Also, too, they had a son, and their son had a pretty fucked up relationship, too. When you start hurting your own kids, then you know it's a pretty bad relationship.
It's true. It's true. Reaper reminded me of Slade and Terra.
Slade and anybody. Slade and his own kids. Slade and his wife.
Yes. Well, I was going to say Slade and Terra because Terra was a child.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up, man. You can't, that's one did that can't be undone, Home Skillet.
Yeah, well, I mean, they knew 52. That shit probably made her, like, maybe made her more, maybe 17, where it's like, age of consent.
Legal some places. Yeah. I was going to say, man, the Deathstroke in the new Deathstroke book is such an asshole and, like, such an evil human being. Sure, why not? Make him a pedophile on top of everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Why not?
I mean, like, they're not trying to humanize him or any way. It's like, no, this is him straightforward as evil as ever. It's Jericho and Rose who are the real heroes of this book. Sure, why not? Make him absolutely irredeemable.
Yeah. If you want to read a book that is literally, like, the pages are made of toxic relationships, you could read Alias by Brian Michael Bendis. And every relationship that Jessica Jones has is toxic because Jessica Jones might be the most toxic relation or character in Marvel, like easily, because she hates herself, but she also wants happiness, so she brings her hate with her to every relationship she joins. That she sleeps with Scott Lang and they develop a relationship together, and it's incredibly superficial. It's just we're both people who have superpowers and we should date each other. It's like actors meeting each other and going out.
Speaking of Scott, too, I mean, Scott is one of the few heroes that we know of who is divorced.
Yeah.
So he had a bad relationship that got ruined either arguably by his being an ex-con or his superheroing. It was never made better, and a lot of his stories are just like trying to be in the life of his daughter, and because of that, he's got to deal with his ex and everything, and that's always a tense thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I think by the end of the Nick Spencer run, they actually went to a pretty good place with it, where she actually stuck up for him in court and said, look, he is an asshole. He ruined my marriage. I hate him. But you know what? He's a pretty good dad, though.
Yeah.
He's like, woo, halfway.
Woo, I'll take it.
Silver medals for everybody.
Yeah. Don't tell her about the time I banged the supervillain.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's right. He had sex with Beetle, didn't he? Tombstone's daughter.
Yeah.
And then she fucked him over in court.
Yep.
Oh, and then Miss Thing hated him by the end, too, because they were together when they were the new Fantastic Four.
Oh, the F4, yeah.
The F4, the short-lived Matt Fraction one, they were together and living happily. They were like Netflix and chilling. And then his daughter came back to life, you know, after Access or after whatever it was. His daughter came back to life.
Oh, Young Children's Crusade.
Yeah, after that, his daughter came back
to life. Oh, wait,
I'm sorry,
Access. It was Access. She died in Children's Crusade.
After she came back, he's basically like, sorry, Miss Thing, I need to move to Florida to be with my daughter. Bye.
Right. Like, Miss Thing wouldn't go to Florida, you dick.
Yeah, he just abandoned her right there to be with his daughter, wife, which, you know, is understandable. But from what we heard, he didn't say anything. He just up and laughed.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a great writing way to deal with, like, when a new writer comes on who's just like, I don't want to deal with that stuff that happened before. Like, no, bring it up. Talk about how, like, there was never any communication with those characters.
And eventually they did, and eventually that's part of the whole thing. Nick Spencer did a great job tying all the loose Ant-Man stuff together at the end.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I hate watching Hulk movies or reading Hulk comics is, or has always been, his relationship with Betty Ross. Mostly just because, you know, if you want to keep making Hulk books, he can never be cured. He doesn't want to be the Hulk anymore, so that's fucked up and hard. And then they wind up killing her. Yeah. And it's because they just had nothing. They were like, how many stories can we do where where Betty and Bruce want to be together, but Betty's douche dad doesn't want them to be together, and then the Hulk proves him right, and then he leaves and Betty's sad. That's everyone.
It's true. That's why I liked what Duggan did near the end there, where he's like, no, you know what? Betty is part of, like, this Doomsday Watch group. She knows the Hulk is going to be a major threat, so she sends someone to shoot the Hulk in the head and try and kill Banner.
That'd be cool. I like that.
That was cool. They did that. It was good. But then, you know, Secret Wars happened, and, you know, Duggan was like, well, I guess I got to put all the toys back in the box for the next guy. So they, like, reconciled at the end of theirs.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry you tried to shoot me, and I'm sorry I became Doc Green and depowered you and all my friends. We both did wrong. Come on, get in here.
Is she back to life now? Is that the idea?
She probably is, but they haven't gone back to her in forever.
Good. She's boring.
Yeah, I was never a big Betty fan. Love Hulk. Hulk is probably my favorite Avenger. Never been a particular Betty fan.
You know what's funny? I think they're bringing her back for one of the new upcoming MCU movies.
Probably.
I've heard they're bringing her in. That's cool. I like that idea. Like, I like her in there because we've only got one story with her in it so far.
Is true. As Austin Cole says, here's another toxic relationship, Bruce Banner and Radiation. Yeah, it's very toxic.
Yeah, real bad.
Dio and Nightwing. Oh, yeah, they hate each other.
Yeah, it's real bad. No, Nightwing would like him if he would just give him a damn break.
Yeah, he kind of is now, so there you go.
I do feel bad. One that was brought up in the chat a lot, it's not a relationship, I guess technically because there was some interaction between two people. Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing ever.
It was retcon, so whatever.
Was it?
We'll never know, will we? We weren't there.
No, I mean, we don't know if it's retconned. It was not referenced in One More Day, so we don't know. Yeah. Oh no!
Yeah, I guess so.
Actually,
we never saw those characters.
Actually, I'm sorry. So. We do know that it happened because he was the American son after One More Day.
That's right.
Yes, so Gabriel was in there. So yes, it is in canon, unless Secret Wars fixed it, but who knows? But yeah, that sucks. Oh, Thanos and Death.
Oof, yeah, man, talk about that one. Talk about one partner who's just, again, too controlling and just way too obsessed.
Yep. And what's it called? And Death, what's funny is Death is like, you have no power over me. I don't care about you.
Thanos is the ultimate bad boyfriend, isn't he? He's like, let me read your text. Where are you going?
Oh, my God. He's worse than a bad boyfriend. A bad boyfriend at least implies there was some mutual enjoyment of each other in the beginning. Thanos just like, yo, let me read your text in case we want to go out, in case we get together in the future. I haven't even indicated I like you.
Yeah, really. He's just a weird stalker.
Yeah, he's just a creepy stalker.
He's a creepy stalker, man. Hell, Death's relationship with Deadpool is a little bit more healthier than that.
Yeah.
Because at least she's like, oh, he's fun. He makes me laugh.
Yeah, at least those two get what they're looking for out of each other. They might both be in it for, the sex or whatever you do with Death, but...
whatever you do, I don't know.
I don't know, but at least there's no bullshit.
It's true.
It's not toxic.
Hell, talking about Deadpool, a relation. I see the chat's getting to now. A relationship that started fine, but is growing more and more toxic by the day. So much to the point we're gonna have a big event with it. Deadpool and Shiklah, his monster wife.
Yeah. I'm sad to see that not working out.
I mean, there was no way it was gonna, because it's like you two are really only in this for the physical thing. Deadpool keeps ditching you to go hang out with his daughter and deal with his own superhero stuff. Of course, this was going to fall to pieces. And Shiklah, she is a queen. And again, they keep teasing, even before Secret Wars, they were teasing that she might actually be evil and that she might actually have ulterior motives. And I guess they're finally pulling the trigger on that.
That makes sense. I mean, that's exciting. That sounds cool. But
and then she kind of cheated on Deadpool too. But Deadpool was like, no, we got an open relationship. It's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an adult. I'm mature. Also, hey, Jack Russell, move over. I want to get in on this.
Yeah.
Because it's Deadpool, so he's got to make it weird and funny.
Exactly. One we haven't talked about because it's not an ongoing thing, and it was only part of one of the greatest graphic novels of all time, but Silk Spectre and the Comedian is the most... Yeah, it's funny how every time we get to another toxic relationship, it's this one's the worst. No, this is also equally terrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
Falling in love with your attempted rapist.
And then having a kid on top of it.
That's literally the definition of toxic.
Don't get much more toxic than that.
Yeah. Do you consider Dick Grayson and Starfire to have a toxic relationship?
I think most of the time they leave on pretty good terms. I don't think anyone can be toxic with Dick because everyone just seems to love Dick way too much.
It's true. He's just so great, which I like. I like the idea that Batman did right. He's like, no, I did the right thing with this kid. I'm not the worst.
Yeah. And plus, too, I mean, he had years worth of watching Batman's toxic relationships to be like, you know what? I'm going to treat women better than this. I think.
Yeah. It's almost like it's got actually, Terry has shades of that. Where at the end of Justice League Unlimited with what's that episode called? Endgame.
Oh, Epilogue.
Epilogue, where Amanda Waller's like, if you want to have a little better life than the old man, treat the people who take care of the people who love you.
And he gets the ring, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make this a fish. I'm gonna put a ring on it.
Yeah, and then he doesn't get with Max, which is too bad.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of the Max thing. I agree with Deanie on this one. No, if he got with Max, she's one of the boys. It's too much.
Yeah. Fair enough, I guess. Ugh, it's snowing.
You want to talk about another toxic thing that seems to exist only in the mind of Azzarello and Bruce Timm occasionally?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, Barbara Bruce.
That's
cool.
That's like, in my headcanon, that's not even a thing.
But it exists in other people's headcanons, too. Kyle Higgins did a great turn with it in his Batman Beyond 2.0 series where we flash back and Barbara's like, yeah, it was a schoolgirl crush. Got with him, realized how horrible he was, then never looked back, married another guy. Oh, yeah, and also I miscarried a pregnancy that was his.
Yeah. Ugh.
And that's why Dick leaves and never comes back, and why you never see Dick in Batman Beyond.
Makes sense. But also, yikes and gross.
Yeah, kind of gross.
I don't like that. I don't like that, like, oh, it was just a schoolgirl crush. Oh, but Batman let it happen, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to look at it from the, like, Arkham armchair psychologist thing, Batman's all about trying to recapture his lost youth and innocence thing. Barbara, of course, had a father who was never home and everything, so, she might look for a little comfort in an older man. I don't know, man. I don't know nothing.
Yeah. What's his name? Tom King is really doing a number on the relationship between Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah, he is.
Where, like, Batman is actually becoming, like, a worse Batman as a result of her.
He really is.
Like, Batman, you let her go. Again.
Twice.
Like, damn it, Batman.
You let her go in front of the cops. You let her go in front of Gordon.
And then when Batman says Tiffany's favorite line, damn it, Batman. But he's like, damn it, Batman, you let her go. And he's like, that's right, I did. Like,
I'll do it again.
Yeah, like, don't forget, I am still an asshole in a mask who takes the law into his own hands. You're the dick for not arresting me. Later, like, no, that's not my Batman.
Yeah, at what point does Gordon turn on him and be like, okay, you're under arrest?
Yeah, hey, you just aided and abetted a felon, you jackass. And last time I checked, because I've been keeping a secret file on you, you've broken about 10,000 laws.
And that's just the ones I was there for.
Yeah, and those are the ones that I'm keeping a record of. I don't have, like, jurisdiction in Metropolis.
But I'm
Santa
sure they want to
Crisa.
talk to you too.
Yeah, but I have a feeling I have a friend out there in that city who might be able to come and take you in.
Yeah, oh yeah, wouldn't that be some shit?
Yeah, although there is a cool moment in Death in the Family of that where Joker becomes the ambassador to the UN for Iran. Yes. And then the State Department brings Superman in, and they're like, Batman is going to cause an international incident. We need Superman to keep him from doing that. And that was like the Dark Knight Returns moment in continuity for Batman. It was really cool. But anyway, yeah.
Speaking of Batman, here's another good one. Mr. Freeze and Nora, they had a good relationship. Then they both got all fucked up, and he became a villain.
Yeah, I mean, it's tragic and perfect and beautiful, but also like sorrowful and mournful. And if you go by the New 52 origin, creepy and stalkerish and non-existent.
They changed it.
Did they? I remember in All-Star Batman #6 they fixed it, but
yeah.
Is it even in continuity? Like, we don't know. But I hope they just no, nobody liked that. It's over.
Well, it's funny. It seems to be Snyder's doing a lot of fixing that stuff. Where it's like, okay, now Mr. Freeze is back, and also Poison Ivy is a scientist and not connected to the Green anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that, but who knows? I mean, if we look at Batman and the villains that like they all have creepy relationships with. I mean, the ventriloquist and Scarface is a toxic relationship where Scarface is always browbeating and controlling the poor ventriloquist. You got Nora and Freeze, like you said. I mean, everybody has a toxic relationship with somebody.
As someone in the chat brought up, they're like, "Oh, the Mr. Freeze and Nora, that's just sad. That's not toxic. It'll be toxic if she ever gets fixed. It will be."
Yeah, if she wakes up and goes, "Oh, you're a monster,
and you've been killing people this whole time. Yikes."
Yeah, I'm not. She's not gonna take you back, Vic.
In fact, they do that later on, where he's like, "Yeah, I saved my wife, and she was cool." No pun intended. But then she didn't want to have anything to do with me.
Yeah, was that in Sub-Zero?
Yes, it was. where she's living a happy life, and he can't be with her, which is extra tragic because he did all these horrible things to try and bring her back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Fair point. I like the idea, though, that where it's like, if, where Vic is like, it doesn't matter to me if she wants me. What matters is saving her. Like, that'd be cool. I'm down for that.
If they want to go in that direction.
And hey, if you like independent comics like Saga, there's a character called The Will who has been stalking Alana and Marco and their child for the entire series. He has this relationship with a fellow bounty hunter named The Stalk, who's like a cool spider lady. And,
I read that much.
Yeah, Prince Robot IV murders her, and then he has like the mental projection of his idealized version of her keep like whispering in his ear the worst fucking ideas. And so his toxic relationship with her is like immortalized in his own like psychic problems. So It's incredibly a toxic relationship. Many relationships in Saga are toxic.
Here's another fun one that I think about it, going back to the whole Macbeth, Lady Macbeth thing. I don't know how many people watch Sons of Anarchy, but Clay and Gemma from that.
There you go.
That's straight. In fact, it's literally just Macbeth, because Clay kills her old husband, moves in and marries her, and starts like raising and mentoring their son, who will one day grow to hate him and try and kill him. But Gemma is worse. Gemma is the true villain of that series. Like, villains come and go, but she's the real bad one, though.
I see.
I know we're so past the point of anyone probably watching original Sons of Anarchy, especially because Kirk Sutter's like, I would do a spin-off now.
Yeah, no.
That show had ups and downs. I would say watch till at least season 2, because season 2 is the best season. Henry Rollins is a villain in season 2.
Oh, cool. He's great.
He plays a crazy white supremacist. He's great in that.
I know he'll nail it. Henry Rollins is awesome.
He really is. What an underrated performer, Henry Rollins.
Yeah. Going back into comics, Spider-Man and the Black Cat have a very toxic relationship, had one. It was purely physical. When Peter Parker tried to like, Peter Parker his way into that relationship, where he's like, no, like we're sleeping together, and that means something. So let me show you who I am. And she's like, put it back on. No, you have to be like non-human in order for me to like get into this. Like, ugh.
You're killing my lady boner.
Yeah,
Stop
like,
it.
Yeah. No. And then in like Brand New Day, when they were like, no, and then they just bang, and Peter turns a blind eye to her thievery and shit. Like, it's like Batman and Catwoman. It's like, yeah, except Batman is always a hypocrite. Like, Batman's like, yeah, but doesn't matter, had sex. Like, Spider-Man is the kind of person who's like, Felicia, we can't be together if you're going to keep being a villain.
Yeah.
Like, it's why every Punisher Spider-Man team-up ends with him being like, okay, Frank, time to take you to jail. Like, that is how he is. But toxic to the nth degree.
Thinking of cartoons here for a second. Venture Brothers has a ton of really
everyone in that show
has a toxic relationship. I was going to say Monarch Dr. Girlfriend. Is that toxic, or are they actually one of the better, more supportive
They're
ones?
one of the more supportive. They're very alike. They deserve each other, I should say.
They really do. That's the best thing you can say about them. You two deserve each other.
Yeah, but Rusty and everyone is toxic. Brock has a toxic relationship with Molotov.
There you go. Who's his Catwoman, basically.
Yes. You got,
they fall in and out of love all the time in that show.
Yep.
Byron Orpheus and his wife and her new husband, the Outrider.
Yeah. Did they, in the new seasons, do they ever show the ex-wife?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they totally do.
Not just as H. John Benjamin pretending to be her?
No, we actually do get to meet her, and she's like straight up Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Okay, that's cool.
It's a good pitch.
Yeah, I like that.
It's funny. I like that. Also, Rusty's relationship with the woman who you thought was the boy's mother, but they eventually came back and said, no, it wasn't. Rusty was actually lying to her for free babysitting in labor.
Oh, my God. You mean the cat lady?
Yeah, the cat lady.
Yeah, okay.
That's not actually their mother. And then, what is it? His relationship with the head of his fan club, who he ended up impregnating, and that's who Dermot is.
Yep. Gross.
Damn it, Rusty.
Damn it, Rusty. You are a bad person.
Sergeant Hatred and his wife, Princess Tiny Feet.
Also a bad relationship? Yep.
Pretty much. Oh my god, I loved when they did their Cobra Commander take, when they did Spinks, and you see Cobra Commander is just some, like, creepy ex-husband, like, hanging out outside his wife's house in a Camaro with binoculars spying on her.
Ugh, yeah. It's funny, actually, the second we, like, start to analyze any relationship, we realize how bad most of these relationships are and how toxic they are.
Kind of is.
Like, I mean, even to a lesser degree, like, Spider-Man and Mary Jane in the 616 universe is a little toxic.
It's true. They've gone back and forth on that. It's been not great for long stretches of time.
No, he drove her to smoke. She used to be too popular for him, and it gave him an insecurity complex. They eventually reached the, like, limit of their relationship in the retconned one moment in time where it's like, no, like, we have to have kids, and, like, he's like, but I'm going to keep being Spider-Man. She's like, well, that's irresponsible. Who
was the girl that Zuko eventually got? Where that?
Oh yeah, the poor girl from the little village.
No, not her. Like the actual, like, his Fire Nation girlfriend, the one who is basically Aubrey Plaza.
Oh yeah. Shit, I don't remember her name.
They ended up.
May.
Oh yes, thank you. They ended up together, and then in one of the comics, she ends up walking out on him.
Yeah,
because he's keeping secrets and everything, and all this other stuff. And he's like, I love you. Don't leave me. And she's like, yeah, but you love your secrets more. Out. Peace.
Yep. Good. That relationship was not good. It was purely superficial.
Cora's relationship with anybody in the Cora show right up until the end when they're like, nah, she was actually into Asami all along.
Fuck you.
I thought that was fine. Because she had such shitty relationships with everyone else, I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. Maybe that's the reason all her other relationships suck. She found out something about herself.
Cora's the worst. She literally kills the entire franchise. Like, to the point where she disassociates herself from the entire line of avatars. Like, she kills everything. Fuck Cora.
That's a show in and of itself. I would need to actually go back and rewatch it and remember why I defended it so much.
Yeah.
It's been forever.
Hate that show. But yeah. That said,
the chat had a funny one. Legion and himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I mean, like, well, okay, we're only talking about romantic relationships. I was going to say we could talk about, like, fathers and sons, and no, let's not get there.
That's a Father's Day show is what that is. That's a whole other one.
Yes, but I guess we'll wrap up the show by saying that the number one is, of course, the Joker and Harley Quinn, which is a relationship that most people really don't understand. Like,
true.
Like, some people romanticize it, which is like, what?
I do not get that at all. I'm like, you have, like, the basis knowledge of this, people. If you read the comics, you know how wrong it is.
If you watch the show, or you read Mad Love, you look at objectively their relationship, or you just, like, watch the one episode, you recognize the one-sidedness of that relationship. You recognize, like, how, he's using her. Like, he is such, it's almost like not even abuse. Like, some abuse comes from, like, a perspective of, like, I'm gonna do this to you. Joker comes from a total place of neglect and disregard, where the abuse is almost like, get out of my way. Like, it's not even like I'm gonna hit you, it's more like I'm gonna push you so you move out of my line of sight.
And
like,
Batman nails it so well when he's like, he'll kill you, one of these days. That's how it's going to end for you.
Yeah. Well, because, like, it's like the Joker and any henchman.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get promoted when you work for the Joker. Like, you just live long enough to die.
and the way they write Harley is so perfectly like an abused spouse, too, where it's like, but I understand him. He told me things, secret things he never told anyone else. No, he didn't.
Or when she was like, it's my fault. It was all my fault. Like, I internalized. Like, ugh.
That shreds me every goddamn time because that's so real.
Yeah, it really is, and just upsetting. But yeah, hey, anti-Valentine's Day. Look, the fact is, like, if you want to write about relationships, if you want to watch a relationship, I think Bendis was talking about like when he put Matt through the ringer during his run, and people were like, "Leave him alone." And he goes, "You don't want me to leave him alone. You don't want to read a book about things going well for Matt Murdock. He eats a sandwich and then has a great day. Then that's the end of Daredevil, and no one wants to read that." So it is with any relationship.
The closest that came was, again, in the Mark Waid run, where he was living in San Francisco, had his healthiest relationship to date with Kristen McDuffie, and he ruined that by making everyone forget he existed.
Yeah. Which is the only... that's a nice little way to end it. I like that. But
actually, that new issue came out today, actually. I haven't had a chance to read it, but I think this is the one where we finally figure out how he did all this.
Oh, cool. Good.
In fact, he's kissing Kristen on the cover, actually.
Ooh, well, then maybe he'll undo some of that.
Maybe I'll get back to you on the poll tomorrow.
Yeah, it'd be funny. Maybe he's like he goes, "Well, I called Parker and he told me the formula that Strange, Reed, and Tony used, and so we just did that."
I know a guy who knows the devil.
Yeah. No. Well, the retcon of the devil thing is like that. Reed, Tony, and Steve get together and use their magic science to like put a whammy on the world.
Put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah. But there you have it, everybody. That was all the relationships that are just the worst.
Just the worst.
Just the worst. We hope that you had a happy Valentine's Day yesterday. But if you didn't, at least you can take a solace in knowing that no one who wears a costume has a good relationship, and you'll never be able to... any relationship you'll be in will be better than any superhero relationship, probably.
It's true. Also, I gotta say this one from the chat, because they've been pitching it. It's funny. Joel and Benny from the Weekly Pull.
Or the Weekly Pull and Comic Book Cast.
Yeah, that's a toxic relationship.
Since we all got blocked.
Toxic.
No, but what's happening on Cape Joel that everybody can look forward to catching this week?
Well, as always, you can go and you can listen to the brand new episode of the Comic Multiverse. Matt and I had a really good show this week, and in fact, if you want to download the show and carry it around with you, you can go to the brand new Comic Multiverse SoundCloud page. I finally took the plunge on that. It's so good, I don't know why I wasn't doing it from the beginning.
This very show is on SoundCloud and iTunes, and I've been singing its praises. I just re-upped my subscription to SoundCloud. Get no check from them, by the way. I'm just saying I like the service. It's very simple and straightforward. I love it.
I picked Podbean because it was cheaper. Then I found out that SoundCloud's only $1 more expensive, and you get way more shit.
You can get it to be linked to iTunes, boom, and Stitcher, and everything. Just
it's great. Hey, SoundCloud, if you're listening, we really like your stuff.
Yeah, as you notice, we just gave a commercial for you for free. We would love to do it again, but it's gonna cost you. So. Give us a check us out. Also, over here on ComicPOP, you can always check out back issues, which will be airing in the next couple of hours. That will, of course, be Saga Volume 3. Gave you a little taste of it by talking about the Will and the Stalk, so check it out.
Fitting.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys next time. And of course, if you are in the Seattle area around the beginning of March, you should check out us on at Emerald City Comic Con. We're going to be on stage on Saturday at 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m., I think. Check out our respective, at least ComicPOP's Facebook and everything else groups. We have pinned information about where we're going to be, when we're going to be there, and how you can find us. So check us out on Reddit, Facebook, Google+, everything.
We don't know what we're talking about yet, but we're sure it'll be great.
I'm sure it'll just be a regular episode of the Weekly Poll, probably, with audience interaction. So definitely check us out and be there.
Which I love the Q&A. That's my favorite part.
Easily my favorite part. Oh yeah, no. My favorite thing is just interacting with the audience. We would do this on Elseworlds, but then the show would just be Joel and Sal talk to people.
which hey, we might do that one day when we're out of ideas.
Seriously. Although it doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon.
No, we got a lot of good topics. We're actually writing them down now, everybody.
Yeah, so don't worry. This is the well-oiled machine going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we'll see you guys next week with another episode. I am Sal.
I'm Joel.
And we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot for watching.
Bye-bye.